My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca Jorge, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Samas and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hey guys, I don't think we've seen each other for a few days, but obviously I've been following the action, and today we are going to watch a quarterfinal from Dubai between Félix Auger-Aliassime and Marin Cilic. Fifth meeting, I think. Anyway, Marin was kind of dominant in the rivalry before. Basically, like, Felix became a huge threat. Right now, I mean, it's been a few years, of course, with Cilic. Well, things have been so just like unpredictable recently because in September he wins Hangzhou, amazing title. I remember saying that like his game is basically there. Like I don't really see what he's missing besides like maybe half a step, but that's not even that important for his game in general. And then he doesn't win anything until the end of the season. I think maybe one match, and then of course he starts it and starts it in Doha with a loss to Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz. Here again in the opening round and somehow wins over Alex de Minaur. Then also comes back to defeat Alexei Popyrin yesterday. Seems like he has a fine shot here. I mean, I know Felix is, the win leader for the year. 14 ATP Tour wins already, actually tour level, I should say. 2 titles as well, Adelaide and Montpellier. So I know that he's like in good form, but did he play that well against Nuno Borges yesterday? Not really. That was such a tough match for him. So well, also Bublik in the opening round struggle, but have to just roll. I kind of hated the ball bouncing. Although when he won the US Open in 2014 and was like peaking scandalously for the entire 2 weeks, yeah, that was exciting for sure. But as a 2010s mostly tennis fan, that's where I became a follower of the tennis circuit. To see Cilic kind of like, just come in after all these years and show the kids what real talent is. There's a certain nostalgia factor to it that you have to appreciate. It's kind of like Monfils beating Fritz in Australia, when you're like, yeah, this is it. This is I was watching during the got a he's got more be to be proud of himself. And Felix, I mean, he'd love to have a career like Marin. I going up and down, and it didn't really seem like much of it was planned. Some of this was definitely just like Felix had to be inventive, but then eventually the touch on the forehand volley just gives him the point right there. Of course, Dubai quarterfinal day today, so 4 matches ahead. We also have Luca Nardi against Quentin Wallis in a match that nobody would have expected before the tournament. Lucky loser Luca Nardi against qualifier Quentin Wallis. Both of them, fantastic chance. Luca is even playing his first ATP quarter final, at any level. And Marin Cilic, of course, Quentin Wallis is playing his first 500 quarterfinal, so definitely like the chances there. I think Nardi already might even if he loses today, he might break his career high. Alice needs to win to do that, so that's going to be definitely like a major opportunity for either player. Then also we're going to have Daniil Medvedev coming up against Talon Hrikspor. The longer this tournament goes on, the more that the draw has exploded. You kind of have to realize that, this is the moment for Daniil to break out of that horrible run he's been on. This is the moment for him to gain some confidence, and we're going to be able to see if he can do that, even though, of course, there are a few very dangerous opponents left in the draw. I mean, if not here, then where? Next up is Indian Wells. Like, Indian Wells, I know he did fine the last 2 years, losing only to Alcaraz, but that was when he had the confidence and when even the fact that the courts don't suit him at all, just like, didn't matter. So, I think this is such a key event for Daniil to win right now. And then in the fourth match, of course, we'll also have Matteo Berrettini coming up against Stefanos Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas finally with a hardcourt run. Well, we'll see. I think a semi-final would be kind of something new compared to what he's been doing recently, for sure. Berrettini, though, back-to-back Doha and Dubai quarters after a somewhat weak start to the year. Definitely back on track. Well, Auger-Aliassime is now 40 love up here. Cilic making a couple of big errors after that first forehand volley from FAA. Now, though, Marin is going to get a point. Cilic won that Hangzhou title last year, but of course to make a semi at a 500, that would also be his first in a while. Actually, Queen's Club 22. After that, he was mostly injured before returning last year. That's an ace out wide from the Canadian, and we are now 1 game on. The ball bouncing still is kind of, tends to be a little frustrating maybe while watching Cilic sometimes when he goes a bit overboard with it, which does tend to happen to him sometimes. But I've gotten definitely, as I said, the nostalgia factor is huge. So like I can handle it now. As a fan of tennis, let's say, maybe not even at the very beginning, but around like 2017, 18, I remember just thinking, just serve already, man. But it's okay. Against Deminor, when he had the match point, he was like bouncing the ball for so long. He, consciously took a time violation. And I was just looking at him and thinking, he's shaking. He's just literally shaking here. But luckily for him, he found a big serve. So maybe waiting all that time was actually necessary for him to kind of control these emotions and get that done. Obviously, it's a massive first serve. So even if he was very nervous on that point, we couldn't really see it. If he lands the first serve, it's a high chance that it's just going to be unreturned. Doesn't land the first serve here, goes for the second out wide and misses. Went for a bit of a flat one. I think Felix was a touch surprised as well, going down the tee there, but of course that's not relevant. 30-15 for Cilic anyway. Neither player has ever had like a massive run in Dubai. Felix, I think, maybe hasn't even had a quarterfinal. Marin played it in 2009 and 2010 and lost to Djokovic and Jürgen Melzer, I think. So this is the uncharted territory in terms of this event. Felix, I think, only playing this for the second time, though. And Marin, I think, hasn't played it also in years, since like 2018. So Well, so far some really good serving from Cilic besides the double faults, over 200 on that first serve. Composing himself once more and gets a good one out wide. Will he be able to convert though? Yeah, that wasn't that tough. So far very serve dominated. Cilic was in more rallies on the Felix serve for sure, but it's just 3 games, so that's not something we can realistically judge yet. Gene is there. My audio is lagging. Okay, that's interesting. Not really sure why that would be, to be honest. But yeah, I wonder if I can do anything about that. Probably not. It's working now. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like a momentary internet issue or something like that. Yeah, these cards do suit Medvedev very well. That's true. Okay, thank you, Jean. Hi, Nurlan as well. Yeah, I think on that very match point that I referenced, Cilic did the ball balancing to control the nerves. Yeah, I think he literally was not like he didn't even blink when he got the time violation. I think he like specifically, on purpose got it in order to just give himself like 15 more seconds and relax himself and like kind of get the nerves in check. So yeah, I mean, in a way, obviously, he needs a bit more time to compose himself, and when there's a more crucial point, he might sort of do it for even longer. Yeah, tough to say for me if it's irritating for the opponents. To be honest with you, I've never really had that in amateur tennis. Like, my opponents having a service motion that like won't start for 20 minutes and me being irritated by that. I don't think I've ever had that. Table tennis, maybe sometimes. There's this guy I play somewhat regularly who's like not that good, but his serve preparation lasts forever. And I'm just all the time in my head, I'm just like thinking, okay, if you were good, I would be fine with that because it would actually lead to something. But when you're setting up that long for the serve and you make me wait for so long, and then it's crap. So like, yeah, what are you doing, mate? I've never lost to him, so that's cool. I just don't need to worry about it. But maybe that's why it's even more frustrating to me because I don't feel that mentally engaged in the match generally. Anyway, that's not too important right now. Well, Marin is on, kinda in the point again of the baseline. I think he's just. Oh no, actually, he found the baseline here, and he's got the first point on the Felix serve. So far, definitely more play on the Canadians' delivery. And yeah, what you said about Medvedev as well. Yeah, finally a court that he can like hit through. Finally a court that is a bit quicker, where his serve looks better. I think this year, what has he played so far? Australia, of course. Then what? Rotterdam, Marseille, and Doha, right? So every single one of these courts is slow as hell. Australia maybe not, but he played Lernertien in the night conditions, right? So very deep into the evening, it also gets pretty slow. And then Doha, Rotterdam, Marseille. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that Daniel hasn't had an event this year yet where the conditions suited him. Of course, when he was confident, when he was number 1 in the world, when he was number 2 in the world, when he was number 3 in the world, he could play anywhere, right? I mean, as we said, Indian Wells final back-to-back years. But right now, he kind of needs a surface, a venue where things are going right for him. And obviously, it's not a given that he's going to win the title from here. But the fact that the only top 20 player besides him left in the event is Tsitsipas, like that's, yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity you kind of need to convert if you haven't won a title in 2 years and if your confidence is generally pretty low at the moment. Okay, this could be an interesting game here as Felix double faults for love 30. Ooh, pretty fortunate to find the baseline here. It could have been 3 breakpoints. Although on the first point, Marin found like a very similar shot where I think both players were kind of expecting it to go out. So I guess it's even now, 15-30 anyway. So the opportunity is still there. But yeah. I mean, certainly over these 4 games, we can already say that the number of rallies that Cilic gets into is much higher so far than the number of rallies that Felix gets into on return. I don't know if this will last. I think when I checked, because yesterday I saw this table from like Tennis Insights, the forehand quality, backhand quality, and la. I think that the serves were rated pretty similar based on their Dubai matches, but it was the forehand quality that was standing out for Marin, interestingly. I'm not sure if I was expecting that, but yeah, the serving quality was rated pretty similarly. Well, that's a big point here. Deep return from Cilic. He approaches, kind of like delayed the stroke, played it a bit softer. I thought that was perfect. Volley was okay too, but Felix is quick to get to it and puts the pass cross court. Yeah, really good point. And he's at 30 all now. From love 30 so far, Felix is responding. Can't really find his first serve in this game though, and maybe that's also, causing all the issues. That's why he even had to sort of like come back from the brink in the previous point. And again, he's got a deep return from Cilic here. And this time, no, I think Marin will force the error. Yeah, Felix wanted to keep playing, but it was a bit too deep. That backhand is that, I don't know, just like a get. It wasn't really a proper shot. But yeah, very similar to that last point, I think. This time Marin didn't follow up his forehand down the line to the net, but sort of like the first 5 shots were exactly the same. Anyway, breakpoint, first of the match for the Croatian. He would be the second all-best Dubai semi-finalist after Federer, who of course won the title in that appearance, in his last tournament appearance in 2019. Roger has won the title 8 times, Novak 5, I think. So basically they've won like half the events, half the tournaments in Dubai. I think there was a point where they might have had like almost half the events. So I think Novak's last title was 2020, right? And then 93 was the first edition. So we would have had 27 editions and 13 titles for Roger and Novak. Yeah. Of course, by now it's kind of getting a little broader, the pool of winners. Novak has only played once, I think, since 2020. No, twice, because he lost to Vesely and then he lost to Medvedev. And Federer, of course, hasn't played since 2019 and will not play Dubai again. I can assure you of that. Unless they do a Venus Williams and they announce him as a wildcard when he's like 45, which actually won't be that long from here, right? I mean, he's going to be 45 next year? Jesus. No. That's too... No, next year. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's insane. Anyway, Auger-Aliassime now gets to game point, forcing this error from Marin of the backhand. But will send his own backhand very wide here. If they're stuck in this sort of backhand to backhand points, probably Cilic will be a little bit better, right? I mean, he can go down the line. Felix... the Felix backhand is, well, I'm struggling to find the words for it, let's say. It's not really a great shot. Well, that's another great return from Cilic right at the feet of the Canadian. So he's had one breakpoint this game already, and he will have another here. The first breakpoint was just an unreturned serve. I think this return was actually of the first set, of the first serve, sorry, but obviously still, Felix needs to be finding that here to have a greater chance of survival. He will not. I'd assume this game, the accuracy of his first serve is probably below 50%, and it's putting him in all sorts of trouble. Let's see if Cilic can step in and take another big return. He's been finding the middle for the most part. Okay, Felix tries to surprise him with the T big serve to the forehand. Doesn't fully work out, but they're in the point at least. Felix is on the stretch, so is Marin actually right now. And he is going to be the first one to miss. So another breakpoint goes, goes saved. There was that brief moment here where like Felix was really stretched to the forehand. He like basically had to slide to it. But Cilic never really converted it. I think maybe it was also because Felix was very dynamic to it, and like you would have expected him to give the opponent like a slightly shorter, easier ball, but he kind of didn't. And well, once more, he's surviving, not finding the first serve again as well, but he is surviving. Actually, some pretty nice angles on the backhand here from Felix, but it's pretty slow. Gets the error from Cilic. But yeah, I mean, it was still quite decent. Backhand cross court and down the line. You know, some danger from that shot that usually isn't bringing that heat. And now he's got a chance to claim this game. And yeah, despite looking a bit shaky so far, it's a good serve. Really should be converting that. He kind of gives the ball back to Cilic, but will make up for that with the forehand volley, which is once again pretty good. So 2 games all. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Survived that. It shows how slow modern players are when you watch the top players from the 90s. They serve so much quicker and par with Medi, Kyrgios, and it wasn't seen as quick. It was normal. Top players, you mean the ones that were what? Like playing in the 90s or? Or born in the 90s? No, I guess like Medvedev was also okay. So just players in the 90s. So like Becker, Sampras, and stuff. I mean, the game was also very different. The courts were, the rackets were, the balls were. So it's kind of tough to compare. But I don't know if we put like right now an average player from the 90s on the courts that we have right now. Would he be doing more serve damage with that than the players are doing now? I don't know. I haven't watched any of Lerner beating Zverev, Nurlan. I mean, there's still Joao Fonseca on the board, So since Federer, definitely not. I mean, Lerner is exciting in the sense that he will be bringing something different to the circuit that we already kind of have established. Do I think he's going to win big titles? Still not, but we'll see. But yeah, I didn't see any of the Zverev win today. Some people are saying that Zverev was also suffering from the food poisoning. I have no idea. Anyway, a very quick service game from Marin here. So that's, the 2-1. He will definitely remember that as a bit of a missed opportunity, but he has put it away into like the deepest places, so like the furthest drawer in his mind, and now he's just okay. Let's keep acing, let's keep unreturned serving, and that's what he's been doing. Anyway, what else do we have here? Yes, Zverev had an incredible record against lefties, like 2 years of beating all the lefties. And that's what Tien's game is, indeed. I don't know. I mean, I've only seen a few points, but like it looked like Zverev was really forcing the issue. Whereas usually these lefties would just be kind of like they can't just throw in lefty topspin into his backhand, right? Because it's too good. But if you're letting at Tien, you kind of can because you force Zverev to be aggressive. And Zverev, when he's trying to be ahead in the points, when he's trying to finish off stuff at the net, yeah, he's not that good, obviously. So I don't know. But again, I didn't watch it, so I really can't comment too much. Yeah, Zverev right now is looking pretty lost, that's for sure. I would say the number 2 spot, if he can't like find something pretty quickly, is definitely in danger for him. what did he have? Roland Garros final, Rome 1000, of course, title. So like pretty good results on the clay season, of course. I guess Sunshine Double was solid but unspectacular. Miami semis and Indian Wells quarters. Carlos though has that Indian Wells quarter to defend. Maybe if Carlos finally has a run in Monte Carlo, which he's actually barely played, just one time in his career. And Madrid as well, which he had that. Well, that arm was not in exactly in good shape in Madrid last year. I don't think he played Rome either, right? So yeah, he will have some to gain before Roland Garros. The last 3 events for Zverev were definitely just like complete. I don't know. Okay, Acapulco, he gets a decent win over Arnaldi, or he has to fight back. Buenos Aires, Rio. I mean, we're not really gonna remember anything about these events. You kind of have the feeling that he's not willing to die on the courts too, if you know what I mean. Let's see if the issues on serve continue for Felix. Well, they might, as Cilic finds another great deep return, 15-all. The previous game of Cilic was very quick as well, as someone is pointing to in the Twitter chat. Felix has no answer for his serve. Definitely not so far. That's what you meant, Matthew. Like faster, not in terms of the power. Okay, yeah, I mean definitely. It's actually also true that the shot clock actually slowed down the game by a little bit, simply because players are now kind of like using all the time they have, and when the shot clock wasn't around, like they just kind of kept going. And yeah, I that's why I like the changes that the next gen finals are trying to bring about, which is that after an ace, unreturned serve, or a double fault, you only get 15 seconds. Like realistically, you don't have to go for the towel after hitting an ace or missing a return. It's just BS, you know. It's just something you do in order to maybe like keep yourself a bit more composed. And I don't know, just you want a breather, but like you don't actually need it. By the way, here, Felix is now in trouble once more. He approaches the net, but it's very, very poorly placed. Cilic just with the backhand pass there basically doesn't have to move. The volley Felix had to hit on the stretch goes down on the floor, but doesn't get it with the dive. So it's going to be 15-40 right now. Had 2 breakpoints in the previous game, Cilic, but they were not consecutive. So this is a bigger opportunity for the Croatian, who's definitely started way better than Felix, and has an opportunity here because of another deep return. He's placing these forehands very well and will throw in the drop shot, but Felix is kind of on it. He tries to lob Cilic. He is successful. Oh, wow, that could have been crazy. So Cilic decides to run around, goes for the backhand down the line pass, but it hits the tape. It was clearly going wide, but then it actually got a bit closer to the court after the tape, but it still goes out. Cilic was kind of playing this point perfectly until that dropper. Well, it would have been a bit uncomfortable to play a forehand from there. He obviously would have had to lift it. I don't know. Maybe there was a different way of, a better way of sort of like settling this. And now he's only got 1 more break point, so he's in serious danger of missing out on the break again. Well, another good return, but he misses the next forehand. So Felix, to be honest with you, I mean, he's doing a good job surviving, because some of these returns that Cilic has already hit, break point down, break point up, other players probably would have lost one of these 3 points. I'm not mentioning the 4th one because that was the one where Cilic didn't make a return. But yeah, 4 breakpoints now, and all of them have been saved by the Canadian. So there's a clear sort of like area to improve on for Cilic here. He's been the dominant player, but he can't make it show so far. Which probably sort of like leads us to thinking that when Cilic has to face his first breakpoint of the match, he'd probably lose it, because that's kind of how it works a lot of the time. And yeah, 2 big serves from Felix, and it's now 3 games all. So once more, 2 breakpoints saved. Yeah, giving Zverev all sorts of different spins. Yeah, I think Zverev was dominating lefties, but it's like aggressive lefties, right? Who just attack his backhand. But when he faces someone like Lerner, I guess you could probably compare him to Mute or Gaston in that sense, that like they would just throw in something different for Zverev. I'm not saying that Mute or Gaston would have beaten Zverev today. I'm just saying that like the good record against lefties sorta doesn't matter because it's just such a unique game what Lerner is bringing to the table. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, so far the good news for Lerner is that he kind of hasn't had a blowout loss. You know, he hasn't had an opponent on the ATP tour that just like came out and demolished him. Other than Fonseca at the next gen finals, you know, for like 2 sets out of 4 both times. But like he really hasn't had an opponent where somebody just rolls over him and you're like, okay, yeah, they know how to play him. They just aren't scared of what he or the proposition that he brings to the court. And yeah, it just kind of rolls with it. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, 2 top 10 wins this year already. Not quite as good as Francisco Comesaña, who is 2-0 against the top 10. Lerner is 2-1. How could he have lost to Frances Tiafoe at the 2023 US Open? To a top 10 Frances Tiafoe, by the way, which is, well, a somewhat rare occurrence in Frances's career. Well, we might be getting that punishment for Cilic for missing all these chances here. A couple of sloppier errors and he's off 30. So now Marin will have to demonstrate that survivability aspect of his game. Speaking of survival, Bear Grylls was watching the tennis the other day in Dubai. One of the matches that I know he was on was actually Cilic against Deminor. But his teachings, his inspiration actually did not help Alex to produce that comeback in the third set. I wonder if he drank his own urine. Would that be enough? Unreturned serves today. Felix 25%, Marin 64. Which again kind of shows you the difference that we were talking about even by after 3 games. That like there's so much more rallying on the Felix serve. And that has continued, especially as Cilic hits 2 more unreturned serves to get us to 30 all here. Typically, I wouldn't say Cilic's return is that good either. So maybe when Felix finds more first serves, maybe this will sort of like change in terms of the dynamics here. But of course, so far it's just such a big regret for Cilic not to have taken any of these 4 breakpoints. But now his focus has to be on this game. Can't dwell on the past. Just gotta accept it and keep going. Should be pretty decent at that. I mean, he's such an experienced player. But especially recently, we've also seen him having some pretty big chokes. Okay, is this better now? Is this? Yeah, it should be. I don't know what's happening today. Well, basically, I unplugged and replugged my mic. Maybe that will help. Does urine taste better? Does urine taste better than pickle juice? I mean, I don't think I've ever drunk urine, but pickle juice I like. I don't mind pickle juice. I have a great memory from like what was it? Maybe like my first year at the university, and we went to the old town here, and we just met some Finnish and Swedish guys. I think a lot of Scandinavians are flying into Gdańsk to have a party, basically, and we were teaching them how to drink vodka and chase it with pickle juice. They were not exactly that big of like they weren't fans of the pickle juice, I'd say. Which is weird because, like, especially in Sweden, they have surströmming and stuff like that, which is disgusting. I don't know. Maybe they were just Finnish, actually. Maybe I'm confusing. Maybe they didn't have two I think they were from two countries, from two Nordic countries, but I don't know. Anyway, not too important right now. Felix serving it for free. I don't know if you guys saw that Dominic Striker thing. I'm just talking about it now because someone texted me about it. But like, it seems like Striker is basically contemplating retirement, which is just horrible to hear about. Obviously, such a talented player. Well, and now Felix is kind of rolling with the confidence after the break. 40 love here already. And 5-3. Yeah. So obviously this match really shifted when Cilic didn't convert these more breakpoints, and then finally Felix got him into some trouble on serve, despite still not being able to return two from low 30, right? And now it's definitely the Canadian who has the confidence, who is just up, and who will be just trying to front run this set all the way until the end. Has to be some sort of a big spike of intensity from Cilic here if he still wants to break and stay in that opening set. He was undeniably the better player for 25 minutes, but that does not matter when you can't take your chances. Good cross-court exchange, and indeed it's Cilic going down the line with his backhand way more easily than Felix here. But yeah, that Striker thing was basically that some like he had a big spat with his coach because he told him that he's probably going to want to like retire basically by next year, and his coach didn't like it, but he had a 3 months notice on his contract, so he had to keep working with him. I've heard some from like a Swiss, I think, tennis player. Like I didn't hear from that player, but from someone who talked to him, that he was practicing with Stricker a couple of weeks back too, and that Dobby was horrible in it. And yeah, basically looks like mentally he's kind of done. Maybe he can still shake himself out of this. I don't know, but yeah, it's looking pretty bleak. I think I retweeted that thing if someone wants to look at that. All right. Anyway, we will be having Félix Auger-Aliassime serving for the set now. Sorry for getting a bit distracted, but basically I was just trying to get to that sticker thing, and then I just had a couple of replies that I also, well, for some reason decided to do it right now. Anyway, Félix Auger-Aliassime serving at 5-4. We know how this set has progressed. Basically, the first easy hold that he had was last game, but now he gets to kind of like show Marin potentially that, you know, I'm here by now, and you basically made a crucial mistake, and now I'm gonna edge ahead. Well, again, good return from Cilic, but will he convert it? Actually, yes. Kind of funny way in which he took that backhand, really like off the bounce, but it was perfect cross court. And Felix, even though he's so quick, like he's not gonna get that because it just never really bounced. You know, it was like the ball just skidded off the ground, and there was no height added to it once it hit it. Anyway, Cilic is showing that we have to wait for something. I don't really know for what. But anyway, love 15. And now Felix is talking to the umpire as well. I don't really know what it is about. Sorry, guys, if you can hear that noise in the background. I mean, there's not much I can do about it, to be honest. They're fixing the elevator in my block of flats. I'm living on the 7th floor, so for about 2 or 3 months, I don't get to use it, but I was actually never using it for the last year or so anyway, so that's fine. Back to... Oh, this is getting a bit long before this point now, as I think Felix has missed his first serve again. But, oh! I was just gonna say, what is Cilic doing here? I mean, I was just gonna say this should be an easy cleanup for Auger-Aliassime, but like he doesn't put the forehand away. It hits the tape. It goes really high though, and Cilic has all the time in the world. Felix is still moving back. I think just like hitting it at Felix, you know, down the middle, that would have been so much better than trying to go for such a narrow forehand down the line. That was pretty terrible. I really don't understand this at all here. Felix was, you know, moving backwards. Like Felix was literally in like dead man's in no man's land. Sorry. And now the Canadian finds the first serve. Finds the baseline with baseline. Finds the line with the first serve, the very edge of it seemingly. But Obviously, Cilic, who is trying to return pretty close to the court, he will have a lot of struggles. He'll have a lot of issues with that. So 30-15, just 2 points away from getting this first set, where he's just been more clutch. And that previous point of Cilic missing that forehand line, yeah, just kind of another example of not taking his opportunities. That should be good. The drop shot from Felix. And indeed it is. So it's gonna be 2 set points. I'm surprised Cilic even got to that, honestly. When I saw it, I was just like, okay, yeah, the point is done here. Marin probably gets it before the second bounce, but then tries to pass down the line, and Cilic gets his racket on it, but can't put it over the net. So 40-15 here, 2 set points. And yeah, mentally, Felix has just been a lot better. Also limiting his errors on the key points, which Cilic hasn't been able to do. Being a slightly better, well, at this point, not even slightly better, being a better athlete, getting more from these defensive positions that Marin potentially can. And 40-15, what does he do here? Dump his backhand into the middle of the net, so not quite yet. All right. Once more in that backhand cross-court trade. Cilic, I think, was contemplating to switch down the line there, then decides to actually still keep going cross at the very last minute and misses it. So 6-4 Felix. And yeah, Marin was better for the first half of this set. Didn't convert his chances. Felix did. That's kind of like the end of the story, right? Maybe all that confidence from winning the matches this year, I mean, it's got to help him out a bit, right? 14 wins on the ATP Tour this year already. He's looking for his 15th. Also, a fascinating stat is that in 2022 and 23, Felix reached like 2 finals 1 year, 2 semifinals 1 year, and 3 semifinals in the other, I think. Whereas this year, he's already looking for his 4th. And it's February. Well, 6 winners to 7 unforced errors from Felix in this set, whereas Cilic is on 3 to 13. The unreturned serves for Cilic, 13 out of 22. Like, it's literally the Cilic serve that has been the most dominant shot this set. But it doesn't matter because he lost 1 game on serve and Felix didn't. We'll see how that progresses later. But yeah, these guys, of course, they are going to run into, well, one of them is going to run into Nardi or Alice. So it's a big chance for either to make this final for sure. It's also going to be a big chance for either Nardi or Alice, but we have the doubles semi-final, it's the quarterfinal, I think, of the doubles event going on right now as well in Dubai. Salisbury and Skapski, they look like they will be losing to Heliovara Paten 4-6 love 3 presently. So they are in pretty big trouble, I'd say. That's more or less it with the action. Some of you may be interested to see Rusevori, who's coming onto the court in Lugano soon, playing Liam Draxl. I'll definitely catch that after this stream is over. Pretty foggy in Dubai. They're showing us some landscape, but definitely not much you can see because of the fog. Dubai must be one of the easiest cities to recognize in the entire world, though. Like, you see the buildings and you're like, ah, yeah, Dubai. I think Singapore is kind of like that too. Cilic pretty desperate to start this set well, of course. Gets the first 2 points here. Nothing, extraordinary, just solid serve plus 1 play. Both players have been involved in a couple of free setters so far. I'm not sure that this match is like physical enough for this to become, a major factor, fatigue deep into the third or something like that. But obviously, if that's the case, then the one who would probably be impacted more is Cilic, considering he's not exactly at the prime of his career anymore. Another backhand cross-court error from Cilic, though. So 30 all. This could get ugly pretty quickly if he gets broken here. So number one priority right now for him has to be to stay ahead. But now the unreturned serves, they aren't coming, and the backhand is just spraying from Marin. So it's a breakpoint for Felix right away in the second set. More returns in play, good footwork, just solid work behind the baseline here. And, Cilic is in trouble. Still hasn't had an unreturned serve in this entire game. Let's see if you can claim this on this, if you can get one on the 6 chance, and he does. It's an ace out wide. Felix is actually complaining. He doesn't think that the call was right from ELC. We see it on our screens right now that just barely touched the line. Obviously, ELC or like Hawkeye and stuff, like they aren't 100% accurate, but I'd say that was probably on the line, yeah. It definitely felt like it was on the line. Not obviously still barely in, so Felix could have seen it differently. It's not quite a Yelena Ostapenko situation. Well, this was a very timely ace, that's for sure. Gets the next point Cilic too. A bit of a cheapish error from Felix, which this game he wasn't giving at all. Had his feet planted a little too far away from the baseline there. Cilic goes for the same serve out wide, but this time it's a let. Switches to the T serve. And should go down the line with the backhand. It's a little conventional though. Didn't quite take that risk. And he pays the price eventually, just missing his forehand line here. Yeah, you could see that the backhand line, like Cheech didn't fully, the belief wasn't fully there. And he really just allowed Felix to stick around. Which, to be fair, is what the Canadian, I think, has been best today at so far in these rallies of the ground. He's just like staying with Cilic until he gets that error. And that has definitely worked out perfectly for him so far. It's a good serve T. Yeah, will be unreturned. Felix had his racket on it. If it just barely got over the net, maybe it could have been a bit unpleasant to face for the 36-year-old, sorry. Yeah, Cilic is like a bit tougher to watch than in the opening set, I'd say. He's like, the flow of the game isn't fully there. You can see that his rhythm isn't like, he's not firing anymore. He's just like kind of going through the motions a little bit. And yeah, this game is lasting so long that with every passing minute, it just feels like if he loses it, it will be a huge hit. But at least now on the deuce side, he's doing pretty well with the serving. Maybe what I said earlier as well, like about Cilic and Felix playing 2-3 setters so far, and that probably they won't be feeling it that much. Like about Cilic, that might not be true because, well, he hadn't played since November to the match against Alcaraz in Doha, right? So it's not like he was constantly out there. He doesn't quite have the match practice, and Dubai is such a brutal event with it finishing on Saturday. Because you basically have to play every day unless you have the opening day, which I don't think Cilic did. But we'll see. He gets the game anyway. It was very long and potentially quite crucial. Better serving stats and still loses a set. Yeah, possibly. I mean, 13 out of 22. I think, Gene, there was a set between Karlovic and Brands in Zagreb where Ivo won 1 point on return the entire set, and he won it because it wasn't a tiebreak. but yeah, I mean, obviously it is a pretty extreme example, but still, yeah, Cilic 13 out of 22, in terms of the unreturned serves. So like only 9 of his serves were returned, and yet he lost the set. That's pretty insane. And even Felix played so many more points on serve too. 89% of first serve, I think Cilic was 78 in terms of the accuracy even. So yeah, it was a brutal set to lose, to be honest, because it doesn't feel like he will be playing much better from here. Like it's not really possible for him to do better on serve, and yet he lost the set. They just showed us the conversion stat as well from Tennis Insights, which apparently for Cilic today is at 70%, which is more or less the tour average, and for Felix it's 92. So even if the Canadian is not doesn't get to attack all that much, whenever he does, the point is just over. Like Cilic is not able to come back to it, almost not at all. Felix's last 3 matches have been over 220. Yeah, the semi against Rublev as well in Doha. Yeah, I guess Cilic probably played a faster match against Alex, even though it was 3 sets. But still, he is the guy who hasn't competed regularly for a while again. So maybe Felix should be a little bit more prepared. But I don't know. I mean, for now, it's not really a talking point. Maybe it will be like deeper into the third set if we get that. At this point, though, I don't know if we'll get a third set. Felix just seems very comfortable right now. Although again, he's complaining about the Hawkeye. I don't think he's right. I mean, I think the serve was comfortably in the line. Sorry, the return was comfortably in the line. Will we get the will we get it on our screens right now? Felix is, because I think he just looked at it. Yeah, comfortably in the line, as we said. It didn't even touch, the outside of the court at all. It was actually more towards the inside. So I think this was just like him misjudging it. Oh shoot! Whoa! I mean, yeah, that previous return, we've seen it from Cilic this today already. Deep at Felix's feet, giving him issues. But this one, I don't think we have. What a return winner backhand cross court, and it's now 30-all. So, well, maybe what I just said about Cilic being kind of like a little out of it right now, Felix having all the confidence, all the control. Maybe that there can be a quick turnarounds in this. Maybe the pendulum will swing in his favor. I mean, to be fair, he's kind of created it himself, obviously, with the two massive returns. And now the second serve at 30-all for Felix kind of stands out even more as a potential chance for Cilic. But he will break this forehand return. Yeah, this was another one, I guess, where in a key moment Cilic isn't really stepping up. Not sure what went wrong for him there. It was definitely like a little more at the body than he expected, but it seemed like he has so much time to get out of it. It was a kicker as well. It wasn't like, accelerating towards him to the forehand too. Well, another second serve at 40-30, and if Cilic can't make this return either, that will be a disappointing way to lose this game, I think, for him after the two massive returns. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. Felix just throwing in the kick serve middle of the service box and Cilic missing it. So I guess the very clear difference between the performance of the two players sort of like mentally so far, it kind of continues. Just one game all after 15 minutes, but obviously that was a long one. That opening game was really long, is what I meant. Yeah, I hope the noise in the background isn't too deafening, but there's not much I can do about it. Honestly, usually it's not that loud. Like, they have been working on the elevator since the 20th of January, I think. But I think it's maybe like the first day when it's this loud. Maybe now they're working closer to my floor. I don't know. Of course, they haven't been working on the elevator every day since the 20th of January, let's be honest. But yeah, most days there's somebody there and you like have to pass by some workers. Thankfully, I had the practice already because I was not using the elevator for like about a year. I just figured, why would I use it if walking to the 7th floor every single time is just like free practice, free training, It's like free exercise, basically. So like, why would I pass on that? And that mindset change allowed me to start doing it differently. So now it's not really a problem for me. There's this neighbor that I like barely know, but people are very observant in blocks of flats, right? So like when I was walking on the stairs the other day, she like says, "Oh, for you it's easy, right? Because you are already practicing. You already had the experience." And I'm like, "Well, hello. Yeah." And I laughed something, but I like never would have recognized her on the street. But apparently she knows my my practices, my habits. People are weird. Anyway, 40 love up for Cilic here. Should be a pretty quick game for him now. Felix stretching to the forehand there for that short squash shot. Was wondering what Cilic was going to do with that, but he actually played it pretty nicely with just good precision and not blasting it full power. That was a good kick serve, but will he win the point? Yes, he will. Okay, so that was a quick game for Cilic. Kind of coming back to some of the actions and patterns and combinations we've seen from him in the opening set. 2-1 now. Let's see if he can keep pressuring Felix at all in the next games. But yeah, that kick served out the 40 love. That was a monster. Yannick Hanfmann loved it. Yannick Hanfmann lost to Francisco Cerundolo in Santiago yesterday, so he might be watching Marin Cilic and Félix Auger-Aliassime. Why not? Yeah, I agree, Jean. This is a very strange match to analyze. Felix, I don't think Felix, as you said, I don't think Felix has been threatening. To be honest with you, like the runs of Felix this year, I don't think I've watched a whole ton of these like Adelaide, Montpellier events. Usually they weren't that exciting to me. So it could be like, I don't know, the 4th, 5th match of Felix that I'm watching this year or something like that. This is his 19th match, so I don't have the biggest sample. But this isn't big title winning level, right? But it is efficient, and it will get him. Like if he keeps playing like this, it obviously will get him back to like top 15 and stuff like that, right? He's 21 in the rankings now, I think. So should be back in the top 20 after this event, I think, if he wins today. Let me check that actually. But you watch that, and I don't know if we see that, that explosive guy that was there in 2022. But to be honest with you, he's also kind of like playing the matchup perfectly, right? He's been very strong mentally, and he's just allowing Cilic to miss basically on the big points. He's moving extremely well. Yeah, Felix is 20th in the live rankings now. So basically, with a win today, he would secure that he's going to be back in the top 20, which I think. No, actually, sorry, he wouldn't yet. Yeah, he wouldn't yet. Not quite yet, because Mahacz could still pass him with the title in Acapulco. So yeah, he needs one more. One more win, or Mahacz to lose to Tien. Or basically just Mahacz not to take the title in Acapulco, and he's back in the back in the top 20. Yeah, literally that. So Mahacz not to win in Acapulco, and Felix is back in the top 20, which I imagine must be back in the top 20 after quite a while, right? I mean, last year I don't think he was really there for any longer period. Okay, anyway, Felix serving now at 1-2, and he actually starts with a couple of errors. Laughing, sort of like smiling to his box here. He knows that last ball was, more than makeable. And let's see, love 30 here. Last game it was 30, last game of the Felix serve was 30 love, then 30 all. So we're going in a different direction here, but he will be trying, obviously, to make it 30 all. Cilic is in the point, just made that backhand cross court, even though it wasn't hit cleanly. I feel like he should have been a little bit more powerful on that forehand. He's kind of pushing now, but maybe that will that will actually make sense. He does get the error from Felix, so it is 3 breakpoints for Cilic now. I mean, if he can't take that, then he might as well surrender, right? At some point, he has to make something of this. Yeah, so Felix inside the top 20. No, actually, he was in the top 20 in October. Okay, so he was in the top 20 for a while in June, from June to October, basically. Last year, he was already in the top 20. I didn't realize. I thought when he fell out of it around November 23, I thought he wasn't there for a while, but no. He had a stretch barely in the top 20 last year too. Okay, so it's not as big a story as I thought. Anyway, let's see. 3 breakpoints here. Felix, does he hit the line there? I don't think he does. It's a double fault, yeah. Okay, well, that came very quickly, and that came very out of nowhere, but Cilic breaks. First time in this match. And all the things I said about Felix being so strong mentally so far today, well, they kind of went out the window here. as that game was in many ways it was kind of a gift. Let me see what the first point was, because I actually don't remember. Okay, so on the first point, yeah, it was just a deep return from Cilic, although it wasn't that threatening this time. I think Felix definitely could have gotten it back. And the second point was that, yeah, that volley he misses there. Yeah, that was somewhat out of nowhere for sure. There's this break to love, and of course it also ends on a double fault, which, considering that Cilic was really struggling to convert his opportunities earlier in this match, that's not something that Felix could realistically, afford or should have done. Well, you never should double fault, I suppose. I guess there's no such thing as I should double fault now. But now Cilic is the one with kind of like renewed energy, and he seems like he's going to just like front run with this. So I should rather say front run well with this. Especially as he's 30 love up already. There's like more fire in the forehand again. He goes to the net. It's definitely a bit of a strange match in terms of its patterns and. Oh yeah, and that's a lovely combination again. Cilic is like back in 2014 right now. He won the last 11 points, right? Is he gonna make it 12? Yes, he will. That forehand plus one was barely in the line, but he does. So 12 points in a row for Cilic. Yeah, what a weird match indeed. I mean, Felix was outclatching Marin, who was the better player for the most part, but like, yeah, was just really not arriving in the key points. And now suddenly, from 1-0 in the second, Cilic wins 12 points in a row. One of the first ever players you watched was Cilic. Okay. I wonder. I was already wondering about this earlier, actually, but I don't really know what my first experience with Cilic would have been. I mean, definitely not the U.S. Open 14. Like, I'm pretty sure I was, aware of him before then. I remember his match against Roger as well earlier in that U.S. Open swing. But I don't think that would have been my first time watching Cilic. I basically became like a week in week out tennis fan, let's say, after the Olympics in 2012. But I don't think Marin was a factor at the Olympics really, so probably nothing there. That US Open, I'm not sure. Well, he played Janovic, right, in Paris, but I think I tuned into the Janovic run a little later than the Cilic match, probably more or less around the time when he had the when he had the Murray win. So yeah, not easy for me to kind of like remember my first Cilic experience. Then of course in 2013, Marin was also banned for doping for like 6 months. So yeah, it's not easy for me to recall actually what would have been my first Cilic. Yeah, I really have no idea. Actually, Wimbledon 2014 quarters, maybe that. Or maybe I just watched a random Cilic match in like 2013 and I don't remember that. But maybe, yeah, the one that I definitely remember was when he went up 2-1 on Novak at Wimbledon in 2014. That I definitely watched. So like that's my first conscious memory at least. And of course later there was that US Open swing and the US Open title eventually. I can't say I was ever a big fan, but definitely have a lot of respect for his game. Some of the achievements he's got, yeah, again, the four semifinals at all 4 slams, really impressive considering he's not a very natural clay courter. And that event was obviously also really fun. That 2022 Roland Garros, at least up until the final, but Cilic getting the win over Daniil, just like demolishing him in 3 sets, and then beating Rublev with that perfect 5th set tiebreak. Anyway, let's see from 1-4. Oh, that could have been a special shot, but Cilic barely misses this forehand pass. Of course, watching on the TV angle, you can't really judge whether this ball will be long or not before it flies in. So I was just like thinking, okay, because Felix is not covering it, because Felix doesn't even attempt, probably it's going to be long, and indeed it was, but it looked good for a while until it eventually bounced out. But looks like this will be a pretty quick game for Felix, but of course, in a way, Cilic already has what he wanted this set. The break advantage, just 2 holes away, and well, it's not gonna really hurt him, at least yet, if he's giving Felix a pretty easy time here. Most of that is just like good serving rhythm from Felix here, though. Finally, because that's something he's been struggling with the entire match. And indeed, he finishes off the game with an ace, so... Anyway, Cilic at 4-2. We're waiting for something. I'm not really sure for what. Again, Marin is showing something to the umpire. Anyway, we should be playing shortly, I believe. Draxl is up an early break on Rusuvuori in that match I mentioned previously. Emil had a pretty good win over Clement Shidek last night. Would be good for him to, well, yesterday more so. Would be very good for him to actually follow it up. Let's see if Felix will have any impact this time. Well, in all honesty, I think this match kind of deserves a third set, right? It's not like the opener was dominated by Felix, and far from it, in fact. I kind of wonder, I haven't checked that, but how many total points did Felix and Marin win in the opening set? I think it could have been very close despite the 6-4 scoreline, because obviously Cilic was getting all these easy holds. Yeah, Cilic lost just 5 points in the opening set on serve, and 4 of them were in the break. It was 29-29 in total points won in the opener, and it was Felix who won at 6-4. Well, that's what the tennis scoring system is about, right? Gotta perform in these key opportunities, key moments. Cilic wasn't, but he's got the opportunity to do better this time. This was... well, could have been like a completely wicked serve, but he is 15-30 down here, Cilic. So this is another like true, test to his ability just basically do his mental ability today. Let's just say that. Well, that test so far has been passed, or at least he is on the way to passing it. Good serve, +1 forehand the other direction. I mean, that's kind of what the careers of players like this are based on. It's your bread and butter. It's your money maker. This is another good serve. Goes for pretty much the same pattern. Has to finish it off at the net, though, and he'll miss the volley. Was he a bit too fancy with it? Could he have just played it, a longer motion down the... basically, like, didn't have to drop volley it, maybe? Anyway, I mean, the decisions you take at the net, of course, are so spontaneous. And now it's a breakpoint for Felix. So that advantage that Cilic worked to build up might be gone soon. It wasn't a horrible serve, but I think it's just out. So second serve, I don't imagine we'll get some aggression here from Felix. He'll probably just try to, stay in the point again. Get the error from Marin. Yeah, it's a semi-aggressive return, I guess. He kind of pays the price for it though, which is funny because you gotta appreciate that this time Felix was going a little bit more for his return here, but this is actually what led to his demise here. He didn't the backhand cross-court return didn't have as much impact as he wanted. Cilic had that backhand down the line corridor pretty open. He found it and then just cleaned up the forehand. So really good breakpoint save from Marin here. I think so far... No, there were also 2 breakpoints in the opening game of the second set, right? So he wasn't 0 out of 1. No. Never mind then. The forehand block returns are really nice from Felix right now. Doesn't get him the point here as Cilic wrong foots him, but at least he's putting a lot of them in play now. Marin now with the chance to get to 5-2. Composing himself for a while again. Won't work as the serve hits the tape. Another really good kick. Sets him up for the +1 forehand, which is really strong. Felix somehow getting this back. A baseline smash from Cilic. Will he have to play one more? No, but that was some obscene defense from Felix anyway. I mean, he almost got that last shot back in play. It's 5 to Cilic though, so very close to getting us to the deciding set here, Marin. And in the doubles, Heliovara-Patten already did beat Salisbury and Niels Kapski. The next match and the last doubles match for today will be Bambri Popyrin and Kash Glasspool in Dubai. The Brits are kind of dominating this Middle East swing. I think that the final in Doha was all British, or maybe it was a different event. Maybe it wasn't even the Middle East swing. Never mind. Anyway, there was an all British final recently. Didn't he demolish Marin in a Cincy final? Yeah, but that was 2016. That's the one where Marin got his only ATP 1000, is it? I think it is, right? Yeah, that was sometime later, but definitely an unexpected loss for Mari at the time. Of course, that was the year when he was absolutely dominating the tour. Also demolished, 6-4, 7-5, but I do remember it being, pretty dominant. Mari was definitely a huge favorite of this clash back then. In 2016, basically whatever match Mari was playing, he was the favorite, unless it was against Novak, I guess. But But otherwise, yeah, he was looking really strong for the most part. Sunshine Double, I guess, was poor for him, but after that, obviously, until the end of the year, barely any losses and barely any upsets, especially in terms of like, you know, not losing to anyone who was not in the top 10 and stuff like that. But yeah, by in that Cincy final, Mari was the big favorite for sure. So that was a very impressive win from Cilic to claim he's only ATP 1000, right? I think. I don't think he has another one. Marin was very good at like picking up titles year after year, but 21 as a whole on the ATP tour, which is pretty insane. But I do believe that that's in the 1000 category. He only has Cincinnati. Yeah, that is true. Good defense in that point indeed. Didn't grant him anything in the end though. Well, let's see. 5-2 now. Felix about to serve to stay in the set. Just trying to extend it for at least one more game. Give Cilic an opportunity to falter. Well, that's a game where it's clear that Cilic, I think, is taking bigger cuts. See if it works out. If not, just focus on the next one. So far, it's not working out. It's low 30. But yeah, Cilic and Djokovic, they had a couple of good Wimbledon clashes, right? And then also, of course, next year, the year after that, in 2016, there's a Federer Cilic in Wimbledon quarters, which is very memorable as well. Cilic was like unplayable for 2 sets, and then there's 3 break points for him in the third. Has 3 match points, I think, in total, maybe all in the 4th set, but basically keeps missing his second serve returns on match points. And Federer wins in 5 before losing to Raonic and calling it a season. I don't know if Cilic has made that backhand. I guess not, based on the fact that he's looking at the video review. But it was definitely very close. You know, the backhand line. Yeah, okay. Okay. Not as close as I thought. Anyway, as I said, I think it's pretty clear that Cilic came out with just like the approach to, go big in this game. And then whatever happens, happens. Looks like Felix should be able to get this one done. Goes for the T-ace, and he has landed it. So Marin Cilic about to serve for the second set. Really should be a third setter, a free setter here, I think, this match. Cilic has been better for 80% of it. But still, it's him who's actually trying to secure that first set on the board. The Croatian flag on our screen, so I guess they maybe have one for each country. Definitely quite windy in Dubai. Maybe that's why they're showing us the flag. But you can also see it on the Cilic shirt. It was a good start with the first quick point, but now he's shanking this forehand, which he was trying to take very early, probably wrong foot Felix and get to the net. 3 points away still. more or less 90 minutes on the clock. If Cilic wins this in the next 3 points, we will have, I think, a perfect 90 minutes for the 2 sets. Well, let's see who wins this longer rally. And I think Felix probably made this shot on the baseline, right? Yeah, 1530. Cilic's backhand breaking down here simply because he wasn't ready for that depth. And now 1530 again. So just like the previous game of Cilic, when he actually had to save a breakpoint eventually. So just like, taking this break lead and then driving it to the end of the set, it hasn't come easy for Marin. Felix staying in that sort of like shadow motion for a while after missing the return. But yeah, he did. It wasn't like a particularly well-placed first serve from Cilic, but it was good enough on this occasion. And he's still just 2 points away at 30-all. And this time it's Marin finding the perfect ace down the tee. Well, maybe not even ace. I think Felix could have had his racket on it, but either way, it was not good. It was good enough for the return to either be very weak or just not happen at all. So a set point for Marin Cilic now. And it's another unreturned serve. So 6-4, 3-6. We have a deciding set on our hands here in the first Dubai quarterfinal. Definitely a nice match. I think it deserved a free setter, even though Cilic was, better for half the opening set. But again, converting your chances is a massive part of this sport. And 3 sets is definitely the right way to decide this, I think. 90 minutes on the clock, to be exact. This set, Cilic with 10 winners compared to just 3 in the opener. Felix again, just like 5-6, 6-7. Like, clearly he's not the player who's like, going after the winners or even like making errors here. Cilic is the dominant force of the ground. Unreturned serves, this time Cilic, not as crazy. 10 out of 32. Last time it was 13 out of 22, right? So definitely he had to play more of the ground this time. But yeah, 2 breakpoints for Felix this set, and this time he didn't take them, and Cilic took his only one. So it's kind of the reverse story of the opener, I guess. Marin still serving pretty well in terms of the first serve points won. Felix massively raised his first serve performance, but it hasn't, in terms of the rate in, but it hasn't impacted his the scoreboard in the way that he would have wanted. But yeah, kind of the reverse of the opening set, in that one player just had 1 breakpoint and took it, and the other had multiple opportunities in multiple games and didn't. Cilic rarely plays tiebreaks. Why do you think so? That's kind of interesting. I mean, I would have to see some stats, like how often does Cilic play tiebreaks compared to somebody who has a similar number of matches? Because if you think about it, like Cilic's game should be sort of like, there should be a lot of tiebreaks in Marin's matches, right? He's a strong server. Return game is okay, but nothing special. I don't know if we have a stat like this. So like, how many tie breaks do you play per match? Like, is this checkable somewhere? I guess what we could do, one thing we could do, is like find someone who has a similar number of matches as Cilic on the ATP tour, and then simply check how many tiebreaks they were playing and how big the difference is. Especially if it's someone like who's not maybe as much of a tiebreak lover, or at least on paper. So I don't know, like Gasquet or someone like that. No, Gasquet has more matches. I'm gonna see how many matches Cilic has on the ATP tour now, and maybe I can find something like this. Okay, so it's like 590 590 plus 338. That's 928. So who could have this many? Like a Verdasco? Or did Verdasco play 1,000 in the end? I think Verdasco played 1,000 in the end, but that's still pretty close. Like Verdasco played 1,000 and few matches, I think, on the ATP Tour in singles, right? Yeah, so I think that's actually a pretty decent comparison. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm gonna see if I can check how many tiebreaks they played, and if the numbers for Verdasco are like much higher, for example. Of course, it's not really a good way of checking that. It's like individual examples, but on paper, Cilic should be playing a lot more tiebreaks than Verdasco, and if he's not, then maybe there is something to it. Cilic has played 452, and Verdasco, who also will play more on clay, so I guess he's also less possible. Yeah, he still has played less than Marin, but it's pretty close. I don't know. I mean, yeah, the game of Cilic should definitely get him into tiebreaks a lot of the time. I think that's pretty clear. Anyway, not much of a break here, as we're already beginning the third set. Felix is, of course, serving first. There is actually a stat like this on Tennis Abstract, like who's playing the most tiebreaks. But I don't think I can find Cilic in this really. So Giovanni Pecci Pericard plays a tiebreak in 39% of his sets over the last 52 weeks, whereas Shelton in 29, Berrettini in 28. The lowest is De Minaur, actually, 10. Wow, that's interesting. So I guess we could check how many sets, let's say, last year Cilic, how many tiebreak sets he played. Looking at the players I have here, I think his percentage should be like, yeah, like more or less 20 plus. If this is kind of, if his play style tells us something in terms of this stat. Anyway, let's see maybe first what Felix does here at 30 all. Ooh, and it's a good return from Cilic, who will have a breakpoint right away. Great return 1-2 punch. Let's see, breakpoints up 50 sets last year, so now I'm also going to count how many tiebreaks were there. But just by looking at the list, I think he did play a lot of tiebreaks last year. I think that kind of doesn't track, but we'll see. Anyway, after the breakpoint, as Felix is also not landing his first serve here, so this could be really a moment for the veteran to step in and take the lead. Ooh, but yeah, second serve return just doesn't quite connect. Yeah, Cilic played 16 tiebreaks last year in 50 sets, and compared to the players that I just mentioned, that's actually really high. Like right now, that would put him second on the ATP Tour after Pecci Pericard. So I'm not sure it's true that Cilic doesn't play many tiebreaks. I mean, he hasn't played many this year, I guess, but that's, it's just like small sample size, right? Well, it's getting progressively less small. It's 10 sets now without a tiebreak. But yeah, last year it was actually very unusual for him to go 2 sets without a tiebreak. 16 out of 50 is 32%. So that's actually pretty massive, as I can see, compared to the other players. Okay, unreturned serve from Felix. I should have said like second out of the top 50, but yeah. After Pecci Pericard, basically. So it looks like he does play quite a lot of tiebreaks, actually. Yeah. sets as well, but that's lower than Cilic. Out of the players ranked like 51, 100. There's nobody. And I think there's also nobody, here. So basically looks like Cilic after Mpechi Pericard last year was the second, like at least out of the top 200 or thereabouts, was the second most frequent tiebreak player. But this year, so far, 10 sets, no breakers. Anyway, Felix gets out of this game. So this obviously was an opportunity for Cilic already. 30-40, second serve return to look at. Doesn't make it though, tries to come over that kick and just ends up missing it pretty long. Of course, it's more about just like, if he hits it with the middle of his racket, if he hits it cleanly, it's probably going to be very difficult for Felix to deal with. But he didn't manage to do that. So first game goes to the Canadian. Slightly better returner than the average top player. I agree. I was thinking about it when I said that like his return game is just like mediocre. I think he is slightly better on returning off the baseline than an average tour player, but apparently last year that wasn't really holding up. Maybe we could check some other years, but like probably not gonna do that right now. But that's an interesting point. I've never really looked at this stat even, so I had no idea like how many tiebreaks does Giovanni Mpechi Pericard play. Like obviously I had the idea that it was a lot. But actually I never really thought of that, so that was quite interesting for me to check. Well, obviously no surprise that Mpechi Pericard leads the list. Shelton as well in second place, because that list didn't include Cilic, but yeah, still. Shelton, obviously that also makes sense. Hubert Hurkacz will be very high in that. That's also something we know. But yeah, compared to like Hurkacz, Cilic definitely should be playing fewer tiebreaks, right? It's just that last year, well, clearly didn't hold up. But I think for the most part, over the course of their careers, I think Cilic definitely will be playing fewer tiebreaks than Hubert Hurkacz. And you also mentioned Felix and the free set thing. Well, I guess you have to go until the semis in Montpellier against Jesper de Jong. Since I suppose we're not counting the retirement from Daniil, right? So yeah, last time he won the match in straight sets was the semis in Montpellier against Jesper. Since then, he's won 4 matches in 3 sets, is playing another 3-setter here, had a retirement loss in the third set, had a loss in 3 sets, also had obviously the retirement from Daniil and also the walkover from Hamad in Doha. Anyway, 15-30 here, so Cilic now has to stay cautious. I like the second point here. He played that forehand with like a lot of venom on it. Wasn't letting the loft 15 chance for Felix like get to him. Let's see how Marin feels about the 15-30 here and whether that will be more of an issue. Well, the first forehand is good. Down the line is fine too, but Felix is defending well and now has the chance to take over. Yeah, that's just a brilliant point for Felix. Won almost purely on the quality of his movement and footwork. He was almost out of it a few times, gets that forehand down the line from Cilic. He slices it back very well. Marin gets an unpleasant ball, doesn't decide to go down the line again. And Felix, when he sees the opportunity, he's still like quick enough and still has enough gas in the legs to move around, find the inside in forehand. This is probably the best point of the match from Felix, to be honest. And now 2 breakpoints for him. And a second serve as well. It's a good return. He is slightly ahead in this point. Cilic seems to be back though. Will he try to go for the backhand line? Not yet. Well, he might be forced to soon, but actually not. He sticks to it. Felix sends him a bit wide, but that only opens up the angle for Marin. And the first breakpoint has been saved. Cilic was very determined to stay in this backhand cross-court exchange here, but obviously he ends up looking the wiser here. But once more, the return is in. Felix this time decides to play it a bit differently. I mean, after the last point, sure, I think it was worthwhile to consider stepping up, but the inside-in forehand is into the net. So 2 breakpoints saved by Cilic. I think by this point we can definitely say that even if Cilic felt like the better player for 80% of the match, I mean now they've both had their chances. Whoever wins will be delighted to get it, and whoever loses will be like, yeah, I mean I had these opportunities and I just didn't convert them. So by now we can kind of throw everything out the window, I think, and just kind of like start again in this third set. It's a blank slate for both players. Especially if Cilic claims this game, I guess it's going to be a blank slate, because it's not a blank slate quite yet. It might be now. Second serve return from Felix is, well, aggressive but long. So we're getting closer to the blank slate theory. And yes, that's Marin Cilic, 1 game all in the deciding set. So neither is able to bring up any advantage, any reasonable advantage so far. Yeah, Cilic is definitely flirting with the time violations, a lot of the time. Oh. Sorry, I didn't realize that my scoreboard went down. Was that because, yeah, I know where it was. Because I was checking something on the ATP website on another tab, and then the zoom actually got... Yeah, never mind. The zoom goes off in all tabs when you change it on the website, so never mind. Well, I fixed it now. I wonder what Marin is showing to his box here after this forehand chunk. He was kind of like pointing at his head and doing some circles as well. I don't think he was saying I'm a lunatic or something like that. But I'm assuming it did have some sort of mental performance implications. Felix is, of course, serving first in this decider, so basically the main thing on his mind right now has to be to keep holding and start piling the pressure up. Breeze this forehand volley here. To be fair, it was a pretty, let's say, situational point. Like it wasn't like he had all the all the time in the world, and like all the, I would say that the action wasn't like fully planned, but yeah, still was a pretty easy volley. The quality of his approach shots, I think, have been a little poor, but then again, he's not at the net enough for it to matter. Oh, finds another ace, so 2 in this game. That should set him up very well. Cilic rebirth. Yeah, maybe we can have Cilic and Berrettini playing in the final. Cilic looking for that first ATP hardcourt title. Sorry, Berrettini looking for that first ATP hardcourt title, and then Cilic, I don't know, just anytime he wins a title from here, I guess it will be a big story. Yeah, that's a strong serving game from Felix. Not much to say. I mean, 3 unreturned serves, 2 of them aces. Yeah, it's exactly what he needs and wants right now. So Rusuvori in trouble against Drax. He's down a set and a break. Actually, he's just broken back in the second set, but still obviously in a fairly difficult position. Three-hour show on tennis. Okay. Didn't do enough on Cheech versus Rublev. That was a good match. And I already mentioned this run today. The wins over Medvedev and Rublev. Obviously, to make his first Grand Slam semifinal, that was huge. And I do always bring this match up as well when someone says something about like the best 10-point tiebreak or something like that. And yeah, then I always say Cilic against Rublev. I mean, not in the sense that the best 10-point tiebreak because it was so dramatic and so amazing. Like that would probably be Brinkova Rybakina, maybe the best 10-point tiebreak ever, because it wasn't 10 points, it was 22 point, I guess. But yeah, I think Cilic, just for the individual performance in a 10-point tiebreak, perhaps the best I've ever seen. Well, I've ever is, yeah, I mean, we haven't really had 10-point tiebreaks for that long. So maybe I've ever seen sounds a bit better than it actually is, but we've seen thus far. It's what I'm going to change my answer to. Okay, well, after this change of ends, Marin Cilic, serving at 1-2. Elevator guys, can you please quiet down a bit? As I said, this is the loudest it's been, and they've been fixing this for a month. Actually, I wasn't here for like 15 days in February, yeah, so maybe it was louder at some point. The loudest I've heard it. Cilic winning Dubai by winning all 5 matches in 3 sets. How about that? Felix winning Dubai to win 3 titles this year when no one else even has 2. That would be quite special too. Well, a bit of a shank here from Cilic, but he stays in the rally as it hits the baseline. He's still going to lose it though. 15-0. Should be on the line this serve, which obviously helps Cilic here a ton. 30-15. Dempsey's forehand in the middle of the net in another mid-length exchange. Does feel like the last 2 games, the longer rallies are definitely going with Felix. I don't know if it's it's probably not like a fatigue factor anymore yet, but most certainly seems like Cilic does need these unreturned serves more than he did in the past. And considering it's a second serve coming in now, the chance that it will be unreturned is definitely a bit lower. Well, it's a kick. Basically just a kick starter, haha. And by the way, Félix Auger-Aliassime, I remember what I said about backhands down the line and how one player has that, the other doesn't. Well, this was a good effort. Apparently, no, he has landed. Yeah, okay. The scoreboard was wrong for a while because I'm like, okay, this is like perfectly on the line. What are they talking about? But yeah, first backhand down the line that I can really remember from Felix being that impactful today. And it gives him a break point, so that's massive. Ooh, but then he loses this very short cross-court backhand exchange with Marin. I think he felt very confident after the previous point and was just trying to ramp up the pace on the cross-court backhand a bit more than usually he would. So anyway, one more breakpoint save. I think in the third set, that's already 0 out of 3 for Felix and 0 out of 1 for Marin. So it definitely hasn't been like, they haven't been cruising to holds thus far, other than the previous game for the Canadian. But Felix does set up another breakpoint, this time with more strong play of the ground. Eventually gets a short ball from Cilic. He's able to step up as well. That nice loopy forehand first and then killing the point quite effectively too. Has a breakpoint once more. How many can he miss or how many can he take eventually? 4th this set. Let's see. Second serve again for Cilic. Well, he probably won't take a big risk here. That would be kinda reckless. Yeah, just the kicker to the FA backhand makes sense. But who's gonna win this point? It's a cross-court backhand exchange again. Felix was kind of flirting with the lines there, but he managed to survive that opportunity. And yeah, he eventually gets it done. Again, just staying in the point, moving well, getting that error from Marin. He looks at his box in a way that kind of says like, I've got this. Well, let's see if you've got this, Félix Auger-Aliassime. 3-1 here. And also he's serving. So that 4-1 lead, if he can claim that, that will definitely feel quite huge. He's been a master of deciding sets apparently this year. Although, yeah, actually, he's also losing some of them, right? Especially, of course, the one against Davidovich Fokina must have been pretty painful, considering that he was 2 sets to love up there. But yeah, let's see if Cilic is done or if he still has the fight here. Woo, Felix now. I mean, you can just see that he grew in confidence after the previous game. But forehand cross-court here is something I don't think we've really seen from him most of the match. Yeah, he just got Cilic a little off balance there and converted that beautifully. I think both players in this match kind of have this thing where like after they win an important game, they for the next 4 or 5 points, they're just like flying, you know? And then of course it quickly dials down. Then we have some other momentum swing, but the confidence is just oozing out of them for a while after they get something. Well, and even more strong serving from Felix today. So 40 love. Yeah, 3 unreturned serves in a row. So if that was the game where Cilic was supposed to make some sort of impact and try to claw his way back, definitely did not work out. 4-1 Félix Auger-Aliassime, just 2 holds away. Can he claim it? Well, Jane, your prediction looking a little wrong right now. What? Am I the Harry Maguire of talking tennis? Do you really think that's something that describes Harry Maguire? Is always shows up when needed? I think Harry Maguire is the most overpriced, player ever. So that would be, if that's what you mean. I don't think I'm the Harry Maguire of talking tennis, but of course it's up to your opinion, really. I feel like, let me find a decent analogy. Who am I on talking tennis? I'm a Bruno Fernandes of talking tennis. I think John would like to be the Bruno Fernandes of talking tennis. But there's like no other decent player on United right now. So basically we can both be Bruno Fernandes. I'll just go for something, from the past maybe then instead. I'm the Ryan Giggs of talking tennis. Oh, now John should be Ryan Giggs just because he's prehistoric. Anyway, 1-4 from Cilic's perspective. He is serving now. Let's see. Wait, so actually with beating Casper Ruud yesterday, or getting a walkover from Casper Ruud yesterday, Pacheco Mendes is really in like slam qualifying range. That's pretty insane because he's not done anything on the Challenger Tour, and just from one event. I mean, okay, it's 100 points. That can't be right. Someone just texted me that. Oh, he actually is 231. Oh my god. That's pretty insane. And he hasn't done anything in challengers. I'm Van der Sar, sure. I can be Edwin van der Sar. Yeah, I definitely liked him as a kid. He was old too, and he was much taller than me. Have I seen Joao Fonseca playing? Yeah, like 1 or 2 times. Yeah, I mean, I've seen like almost every Joao Fonseca match since he started playing the Challenger Tour, I think. So yeah. Have watched him live as well last year. Well, Cilic serving pretty well here. Can he claim this point as well? Gets the big forehand in play, but then the backhand down the line. Again, his feet kind of slow there to adjust. And 30-all. It's looking increasingly difficult for Marin, this comeback. But and at the same time, second set, it kind of had that feeling at some point, right? That Felix was just going to cruise from there. And then Marin won 12 points in a row. But I'm afraid he's going to have to win like 12 points in a row again. FAA wishing he was slightly more clinical on this second serve return for sure. He's been quite animated. Like you can see what he's emotions are. He's wearing his heart on his sleeve today. It's not easy to guess what he thinks he did wrong. It's not tough to guess what he thinks he did wrong there. But basically, it should provide Cilic with the game here. I mean, it's an easy smash, right? Yeah. So 4-2, Auger-Aliassime, big fist, big clenched fist from Cilic. And yeah, Felix still 2 holds away, but Marin at least keeps himself within touching distance. The previous 2 games on the Auger-Aliassime serve, they were pretty quick. Just a lot of unreturned serves right now. Kind of like Cilic was doing in the opener. Cilic has that 1-2 punch potentially set up. He kind of plays the forehand a little bit more spinny, just doesn't go after it that much. But it helps that on the next shot he finds the line with the backhand cross. Felix again a bit surprised that it went in. He's been having a bit of trouble, I think, reading the ball today in terms of that. A few cases where he's either, well, but perhaps not exactly just like letting the ball fly past him, but just basically expects an out call and doesn't get it. Of course, in the ELC era, there's no challenges anymore. You can see it only on the video replay. We have the video review, though, which he used against Bublik in the opening round. Quite a big story there. Well, maybe it's not done yet. Felix missing this forehand down the line here. 15-30. This lady in the crowd seems to be a big Cilic supporter. Maybe it's Jane, who's just texting us from the stadium in Dubai. Is that return in from Cilic? I guess not. Very slim margins, but I guess so they were on the point that he won earlier in this game. Feels like after this return, Felix had a forehand down the line opportunity, which he doesn't really go for, and he misses another one of these like spinny, heavy forehands. The coach of Cilic is trying to fire him up here. It's a break point for the Croatian. I don't know if we really expected that from 1-4, that this was going to still be difficult, but Felix misses 2 very similar forehands here. One was down the line, one was down the tee, but both of them he's just like trying to add so much spin to it. He overcooks it a bit. 2 out of 7 break points Auger-Aliassime in this match. Cilic 1 out of 6. So if Marin converts this one, they will be dead even. There's not gonna be much chance to convert it though, as Felix finds the ace down the T. His serving has definitely improved as the match went on. I mean, in the opening set, it's kind of a miracle he won it, right? I mean, Cilic was dominating, but found so many good deep returns. Only lost 5 points on serve, but still lost it. And Felix's serve has only got better as the match goes on. Backhand drop shot from Felix will be good enough. I don't think Marin got to it before the second bounce, but doesn't matter since he made it into the net anyway. Felix would love another ace down the T here, but let's see if he can pull out something special. Yeah, it's another ace down the T. Exactly. So 5-2, just one game away now, Félix Auger-Aliassime. Was this the last call, last chance for Cilic? Maybe, but then again, from 30-40, it's not like Felix gave him any chances, right? 2 aces down the T, another good serve, and that backhand drop shot he throws in, probably for the first time this match. Yeah, I kind of stopped believing in the win at for Cilic at 1-4, but you're right, Gene, that he still believed. Yeah. Will he still believe in the next 2 games? Well, that's what we'll find out. Okay, so Jane is in Acapulco celebrating Lerner and ADF. Just don't, whatever you do, just don't eat any spicy foods or any meat, okay? Because, the food poisoning is just ruining the players there. I think Kasper should have played last night. I mean, he would have beaten Pacheco Mendes while vomiting on the court every other point, I think. Anyway, 2-5. Let's see. Marin Cilic definitely still had the belief in the previous game. Does he find the baseline of this backhand crosscourt +1? I don't think so. Yeah, so now just 3 points away for Felix. He has him on the move here, but will probably break that forehand, yeah. Again, some very good scrambling from Felix. The quality of his movement, footwork defensively has been a massive factor today. And that's going to be 2 points away now at love 30. Maybe he can look for another break here. Cilic up in the point again, but misses the forehand into the net. This could be it. It's 3 match points for Félix Auger-Aliassime to make his 4th quarterfinal of the season. Did I say quarterfinal? I meant semi-final. Anyway. 2 hours 15. Second serve from Marin Cilic. Is there more left in store for the Croatian here? Does he have any last-minute comeback attempt in him? Well, so far Felix is kind of extending Marin's life in this event. That second serve return of the backhand was not the best he's hit this match. But also, of course, 3 match points. Can appreciate wanting to get a better swing in. And trying to go for something a little bigger than usual. Well, we're in the point. Cilic with a short ball forehand goes to the net and will play a great volley this time. I kind of had flashbacks from a similar point. I don't remember when it was. Maybe the beginning of the... No, sorry, it was the end of the second set, which worked out pretty similar. He just didn't have the ball in his forehand there with the volley. It was more like towards the middle. Decided to play it with the backhand and then played the drop volley into the net. Not this time anyway. So just 1 more match point here for Felix. I mean, obviously he's still 5-2 up. But you have to try to claim it here, right? I mean, you really want to, of course. And you will, because the return from Felix is pretty high. And Marin doesn't handle it too well in the +1. So it's a 6-4, 3-6, 6-2 win for Félix Auger-Aliassime, who has now reached 15 wins on the ATP Tour this season. Of course, he's the match win leader in 2025. I think he's now 2 ahead of Lehečka and De Minaur, who, of course, both lost in the opening round in Dubai. He's also made back-to-back ATP 500 semifinals on outdoor hard courts, which is something that he's barely done in his career. And, well, back-to-back, he definitely hasn't done it. Yeah, I mean, he's just been one of the best players of the season. Was he, like, extraordinary and special today? Probably not. But I think you see that kind of like the confidence that he has this year is very important. He knew that he can rely on the quality of his footwork, especially, and also on just having more margin of the ground. And then, yeah, just started serving better too. For Cilic, I would say the main regrets: first set, 100%. Only loses 5 points on serve in 5 games, and yet he gets broken to lose it. And also has 4 break points he doesn't convert. His returning was very strong at the start of the match. So yeah, there are some regrets for Cilic, but in the end, obviously, he didn't get that close to a win. It was still a great run for him, beating a top 10 player for the first time since Roland Garros 2022. But Félix Auger-Aliassime just kind of keeps writing keeps getting some pretty good results this year. We'll see how far this can take him. As I mentioned previously, the winner of this match will be facing Quentin Alice or Luca Nardi. So needless to say, the chance to make the final is there. Felix actually almost lost to Alice in Doha last week. So that maybe could be a bit interesting if we get that match. Auger-Aliassime Nardi, I'd say Felix probably should take that one. Anyway, that's more or less it. Let's see if there was anything else here in the chat from you guys. I mean, I think probably yes. Semifinals. Yeah, so you caught my mistake, and I did also catch it before looking at the stream. The Canadians are making a comeback. Yeah, both of them are firing. I don't know. Like, Dennis could be playing some of the best tennis of his career. Felix, I would say this is not 2022 yet, but we'll see. But yeah, both of them are doing very well. If you're a Canadian tennis fan, you definitely should be enjoying what the two guys who have been quite disappointing the last couple of years are achieving at the very moment. And I think that's kind of it, right? In terms of the rest of the quarterfinals today, of course, coming up, Alice and Nardi. And then later on, kind of the more high-profile ones with Medvedev, Grigspor, and Tsitsipas, Berrettini. By now, Felix is the only ATP 500 champion left in the bottom half. Because of course, Nardi and Alice, they're even playing their first 500 semifinals. So the like advantage of experience will be definitely with him tomorrow. I think the tournament favorite is probably Medvedev, but he is in that more competitive top half. Maybe by the time he would reach the final, maybe he would be a little worn out. I don't know. Although by the sort of like look of it, it seems like Auger-Aliassime would be more worn out by the time he reaches the final than Daniil, because he literally can't win a match in 2 sets. Anyway, that's obviously a joke. But yeah, encouraging week for Cilic. Indeed, he was missing from November to Doha, gets top 10 players in both opening rounds, and yet he is able to come up with this quarterfinal run. So this is just more good work for him in terms of potentially returning into the top 100 in the future. He's like 141 in the live rankings or thereabouts, I think, at the moment. So he's probably on his way up there. As long as he's able to just play consistently, I think he probably will be soon. Of course, he has 250 points from Hangzhou as well, which won't hurt, and 100 here from Dubai now. Anyway, thank you to everybody in the chat. It's fun watching this one with you, and enjoy the rest of the action today. And yeah, I will actually play the outro video so that you can see John Silk on your screen. And that's going to be the last thing you see from us today, I think. Anyway.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.